Hey, thanks everybody for joining us, Live Music Nation podcast, Festival Edition. Today, I'm with Gwyneth Fastnut. She's from the Arts in the Garden. Gwyneth, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Give us a little background on you, where'd you grow up, and talk a little bit about your career.
Sure. I grew up here in Wessington Springs, South Dakota, and I am just a community volunteer. I'm a teacher, and I've been in the education field for about 30 plus years. I've taught in foreign countries, and I've taught around South Dakota, and now I'm kind of planted in Wessington Springs for the past 15 years. This is my hometown. It's a great little community, and we have this amazing arts council that does so much work to bring the arts to our community and the area. We have in Wessington Springs Shakespeare Garden, which is an amazing garden patterned after the Anne Hathaway cottage and her garden in England. And that was built in the 1920s. It's got a beautiful green area, and it just really calls for people to be there in the summer enjoying the arts. And so we created a couple years ago the Arts in the Garden festival, I guess, an Arts in the Garden day where we have a lot going on for the majority of the day. We have a artisan vendor fair. It has to be all handcrafted, handmade. So that is very popular. And then while that is going on, we also have live music on about 20 or 30 minutes or on the hour. It depends on the performer, but they're local, but also from across the state. So it's just a really busy day of the arts.
Very cool. So give the listener a visual of the layout. And so I always just ask the four questions. What does it sound like? What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? You can hit the food, you can hit everything. But for the listener who hasn't been there, what's that look like?
Sure. The Anne Hathaway cottage is kind of the center of the garden, and that's kind of the main draw. It has a thatched roof. It's a small building. The committee that runs and takes care of the garden offers teas, high tea in the summer, and it's a beautiful historical building. And then surrounding that building is the Anne Hathaway Garden to the north and the Shakespeare Garden to the south and west. And then south of that is what we call the South Green. And so it's a wide open area with trees. That's where our vendors set up, and people can wander through the vendors. Nearer to the cottage is where we have our musicians. And so as people are wandering through the artisan stalls, they're listening to, they can hear the live music or sit on the open area right near the cottage in the garden and view the performers and take all of that in. We usually have some food as well. We'll have, we have a food truck or a local person that wants to provide a meal. It kind of changes each year. So you're right, there's food as well.
Yeah, very cool. So why the festival? Why the event?
Well, we felt initially the first year we were looking for ways to, number one, bring more of a festival feel to Wessington Springs. And I worked with our development coordinator, Lori Gaikowski. I sort of started along with our arts council, this Arts in the Garden during the day. And then the development coordinator tagged on to that and started a rib fest and a band in the evening up in the city park. So we have this whole day of foothills days is what we call it, because our community is nestled in these beautiful hills about 90 miles from our state capital. And we're right on the edge of farming land and ranch country. We're right in the middle there. And so we just really have a beautiful topography, I guess. And we really wanted to look for a way to focus on and kind of bring attention to Shakespeare Garden for one thing, and then also give an opportunity for artisans from around the state to show their wares in a very unique setting, I guess. A lot of artisan craft fairs are indoors and in buildings, and this is just a beautiful day outside celebrating the arts.
No, that's perfect. And you're going to connect us with the Rib Fest as well.
Yes, I will send you that information.
And so we will be able to talk about that at a later time. And that's fantastic. Gwen I call you Gwen, and I probably
That's fine. That's fine.
Is the value for you in this? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. Why is this important to you?
It is important to me because I feel like this is a wonderful community to live in. There are so many wonderful communities, small communities across South Dakota, but of course, I feel ours is one of the best. There's so much to offer. There's just people in this community who are so loving and willing to work to make our community a wonderful place. And this is an opportunity for those people to have an avenue to give back to the community. So we have a lot of volunteers that help. And so that's one reason. And the other is just to continue helping to make this a wonderful place to live. You know, if we didn't have these really interesting and different things to do, we can kind of get monotonous, right? Work, go home, work, go home. But we want to provide not alternative, but unique opportunities for people to experience the art and take advantage of our wonderful community and the beauty here in Wessington Springs.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Gwyneth, I'm in live music. I'm in live entertainment. So I always ask these two questions every interview. What is the best concert you've ever seen your entire life?
The best concert I've ever seen. Now, you should have sent me this question ahead of time. Let's see, the best concert I've ever seen. Can I include musicals?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say there's two. I saw this. I'm sure you're familiar with the band, the Gypsy Kings.
Yep.
And I saw the Gypsy Kings happened to be playing in a mall I was visiting in the Middle East once. And I couldn't believe that I had happened on this, and we couldn't listen for long, but it was amazing live music. The other was the Hamilton musical. I saw it in Chicago, and it was amazing, I have to say.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Okay, dead or alive, you could bring one musical act to perform in your garden.
Oh, wow. You know, we've had such a variety, if I can just say. We've had a Bolivian musician who used indigenous instruments. We have had Native American flute player. We have had Eliza Blue, who tells stories, writes poetry, and sings, you know, and then we have had just folk. We've had some jazz, we've had solos, we've had so many, but I would really love, on my bucket list, is to get a string quartet as one of our features. It's not all classical music that we have. In fact, we rarely have classical music at our Arts in the Garden Festival, but I would like to have a string quartet at some point be part of the day in a coming year.
Perfect. All right. Gwen, thanks for joining us today at Live Music Nation podcast. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine.